33 currencies in Africa. 33 currencies. None of which is used to conclude transactions anywhere. I come to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and I show my shilling. They say, what is this? But let me show the dollar. Oh, this is it. Let me show the euro. This is it.
You see, this video will make you think. Let me not just say much. Let's watch together.
80% of transactions in Africa are concluded outside of the continent in dollars. So you may have the Central Bank or the Federal Bank of Ethiopia, or Mickey Mouse. You may have the Central Bank of Kenya, Mickey Mouse. You may have all these 54 central banks useless.
Very useless.
Because we are not playing in the real league, we are playing in the small league. That is the state of the continent. So as you have the honor and privilege of serving in the government of Ethiopia, and as you think about integration, that is the continent in which you are now. Weak.
Very weak.
That is the state in which we are. I watched a woman from Nigeria who had been rescued from the Mediterranean around Lampedusa saying, I will not go back to Africa. Even if I die in the Mediterranean, I'll try again and again. What is it that can make a human being say that I do not want to go back to my home? But the natural instinct of a human being should be that you want to go home. It's because we are weak.
Very weak.
Let me conclude by looking at Africa in the future. What is the state of Pan-Africanism? Africa finds herself in a very difficult situation. What Nkrumah feared. Today, many African leaders have gotten used to the trappings of power. And those who speak about power, right? Power corrupts.
Exactly.
And absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely.
I remember in 1997, I think, I may be wrong about the year, 1995, I think, I was serving as an intern at the Mwalimu Julius Nyerere Foundation in Dar es Salaam. And I had the privilege and honor of driving with Mwalimu Nyerere in Dar es Salaam. And he had only one guard and a driver. And he stopped at the few traffic lights and only moved when the traffic lights moved. And I asked him, Mwalimu, how did you leave power? He said, oh, when I said I wanted to leave office, there was no shortage of people telling me, don't leave us as orphans. It is very rare to find those in positions of leadership in Africa today who would willingly leave office.
Sadly.
Power in Africa is now sought by hook and crook and retained by hook and crook. Because the trappings of power are good. And permit me, when I am gone, even if I irritate you, in fact, perhaps my intention is to irritate you, so that you reflect upon what I'm going to say. And this is a personal thing. I'll give you an example. When I was appointed as the director of the Anti-Corruption Commission, I drove in the morning in my car with my driver. In the evening when I was leaving, there were 3 cars mine, what was allocated to me, and another one in front, and another one behind me, and 12 individuals. And I asked, who are these fellows? Say, these are your security. I said, I don't need my security. I don't need 2 cars, I only need 1 car. Because this thing you call security, this is spectacle.
Exactly.
And throughout the period that I served, I had only 1 security and 1 car. And I say this because it is in the nature of power to make you use the things that you don't need. And once you get used to them, then without them, you feel empty and lonely.
Very empty.
And you will find them. You'll be told, and many of you will love them. They are good.
Yeah.
When doors are opened for you, they are good.
It feels good.
When you occupy front seats, it is good. When you are addressed Your Excellency, it is good. When you eat the best food, it is good. When you have security, it is good. But it can also dehumanize you.
Exactly.
It can also monsterize you.
That's the challenge.
I am asking you today that part of the problem of Africa is that we found human beings and we monsterized them.
Monsterized them.
Writing in 1983, Nigeria's Chinua Achebe writes in a book which I commend to you, The Trouble with Nigeria, which could as well be the trouble with Africa. He says, the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a problem of leadership.
Leadership. That is all. Leadership problem.
As we look at Africa today, I hope that this administration, which has now committed itself to the Pan-African movement, will think in that direction. And this brings me to what I think should be contemporary Pan-Africanism. If you look at the Treaty of the East African Community, the Treaty of the East African Community says that there shall first be a common market, then a common currency, and political federation, which ought to have happened in the year 2010. East Africa Community should have had its first president in 2010. That is now 21 years, 10 years later, there is no such thing.
What happened?
In ECOWAS, it ought to have been the same. In SADC, it ought to have been the same. I hope that with your population of 120 million, because Ethiopia is an economic powerhouse potentially. You know, Pan-Africanism, the new Pan-Africanism must have an economic component of it. That is how I understand Africa Agenda 2063. Africa Agenda 2063 says that by the year 2063, Africa will have pulled up her people into a middle-level economy on 7 pillars, economically, politically, and otherwise.
Okay.
And the Africa Continental Free Trade Area suggests to me that we'll have broken all the tariff and non-tariff barriers. Will we be able to achieve those in the spirit of new Pan-Africanism? Will we have one currency? Will we have one passport? We have already said so under the Kigali Agreement that we are going to have one passport. Will we have one telephone code? We have 55 telephone codes. You move from Nairobi 254, you come here, you have another one, you go to Eritrea, you have another one. There is no connectivity in the 21st century. How can you be taken seriously?
How can we?
Those of you in the United States of America, you fly from Boston, Massachusetts to San Francisco in the West, 6 hours, 40 minutes, the code is 1. The tariff is 1. The COVID test is one. I moved from Nairobi to Addis Ababa, COVID test. If I don't travel this evening, I'll be subjected to another COVID test. I go to Tanzania, COVID test. Uganda, COVID test. Your nose will begin debating with you. In the United States of America, you take one COVID test from Miami and you don't take it as you go to St. Louis in Missouri. I'm talking about very practical things.
Very practical.
I come here and I have to go through an immigration. My passport has to be stamped. Somebody in the United States of America does not have to do that. Somebody in the European Union across 27 countries does not have to do that. In China, which is of course 1.4 billion, does not have to do that.
Why are we different?
Until we change all those things, we are going nowhere. So that we have only one telephone code, so that we have only one currency, so that we have only a single immigration, so that we eliminate all these armies. You know, you look at some African countries and they have an army which complete with 5-star generals who have never even quelled a street riot, and they are generals.
Not even for once.
Your money goes into maintaining militaries, maintaining embassies that you don't need. You see why Africa is poor? All these 55 countries have embassies. If we were one, there would only be one ambassador for Africa in the United States of America. There would only be one army with regional policing. Am I being naive or simplistic? Yes, we can create a single Africa with a loose government, a confederal government, dealing only with foreign affairs and defense and monetary policy and general policy formulation, with different governance systems. That is the only way in which these narrow tribal instincts will be dampened.
Eliminated.
But as long as, and now I want to conclude, if we only see Pan-Africanism as sentimentalism, as a romantic idea about which we debate, and we remain as we are, then this is the Africa that I see. This is the Africa that I see in 25 years now. Many Africans, either legally or otherwise, will break into different autonomous countries. Many of them.
Many.
We'll have more than 100 countries in Africa.
Sure.
Each claiming self-determination, and is already beginning to happen. Because we will be looking at narrow ethnic agenda as the only way of defining our affairs. Ethiopia will break down, Kenya will break down, Nigeria will break down, South Africa will break down. And look at South Africa. Only last week, the whites in Western Cape in South Africa have delivered a petition to the government in Pretoria saying they want to create their own country. The Democratic Republic of Congo will break down, Libya will break down. The only way in which we can immunize ourselves against all those things is to create a Pan-African nation which allows for self-determination within the nation. And we must redefine terms such as self-determination. Self-determination must mean the ability of a people within a bigger unit to enjoy their culture,
Exactly.
to enjoy their tradition, to speak their language. They do it on a smaller scale in Switzerland. Those of you who are familiar with Switzerland. And we de-emphasize the presidency, we de-emphasize the prime minister's office. Pixley Kaisaka Seme said, and I conclude with him, Africa is diverse.
Very diverse.
Some people say that because of our diversity, she cannot unite. She can. Because unity in diversity is possible if we understand what human beings need. In the nature of things, human beings need security. In the nature of things, human beings need food. Human beings need medical services. They need infrastructure. If you have a government that allows that, he said, then it reminds me of the piano. If you press the black button of the piano, it produces some sound. If you press the white one, it produces some sound. But if you press both the black and the white, it produces melodious music. And I think that the new Pan-Africanism must look to that. And you who have the honor and privilege of thinking and working in government, it is your duty to start that journey. It is not going to be easy, but it is an intergenerational journey. Play your part, for it can be done, and it must be done.
One Africa. One Africa. It is possible. One currency, one passport, one army. Imagine how powerful Africa will be when everyone is united. We are not just fighting for our individual countries. We are fighting as a united Africa. Africa is a very big continent with the population. We have the human economy. We have the mineral resources. We are talented. We are gifted. We are intelligent. We are smart. What is keeping us? We are divided. They divided us so that we cannot come together and be stronger than them. That is the problem. Imagine. Think about this. If we all are united as Africans, if we all are united as one nation, there is no continent in the entire world that can defeat Africa. But they don't want it. They disintegrated us on a purpose. They already predicted the future. They already know that there will be a time these people will rise up. These people will come to their senses. These people will rediscover themselves. They disintegrated us. They divided us. Countries: Zambia, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Mali, Niger, a lot. It is time we unite. Now, let's have this conversation in the comments. I want you to tell me the advantages of African unity in the comments. What advantages do you think we will have ahead of other continents when we unite? And also, on the other hand, tell me the disadvantages of African unity. What are the disadvantages, or what disadvantage will Africa have when we unite as one? Let's have this real conversation without any sentiment. Let's be logical and realistic.